Hi, I'm Meg Ormiston. I look forward to sharing this module with you today. The one computer classroom with a projector. Oh, after you sat through all these great tools, must be very frustrating if you're in a classroom that only has the one computer and a projector. And unfortunately, a lot of you had to fight very, very hard to get the projector. Unfortunately, in many parts of our world, we still are sharing that technology, which is very unfortunate because we can take one computer and we can engage many. That's what I want you to think about here. So I know you might want all those other wonderful gadgets we talked about, but let's take what you have and let's maybe look at it through a new lens and see what we can do with the one computer in a classroom and a projector. Well, at least your projector beats the chalkboard, the traditional stand and get all covered with chalk. So that's something to celebrate. Hopefully we've moved up to whiteboards. So it's better than that. But unfortunately, I'm still seeing many places that the overhead is the biggest piece of technology that's in many classrooms. So I'm really hoping we're going to see a change as projectors drop in price, as interactive whiteboards drop in price. So let's just look around the room, and I thought this was a beautiful room. It looks like somebody getting ready for the beginning of school. And I was just thinking, if we did not buy a couple of things in this room, we would be able to afford a projector. So let's look at that pull-down map. Now I said this once in front of the map salesman. I didn't mean to. I didn't know he could hear me. But that map, today, if we ordered a new one, is about the same cost as a projector. Now, phasing out the overhead to the projector, some people have a hard time because they've spent their whole career standing and writing at that overhead, and they don't want to move to a projector. One of the schools I work with did a very interesting thing, and what they said is we will not buy any more bulbs for the overhead projectors. So as they die, we're sorry, the overhead projectors are gone. So we just have to get creative in our thinking how we can afford different things in our classrooms. Well, some of you are lucky enough to have one of these hanging in the corner. I'm 5'2" if I stretch, so trying to point something out on this screen in front of a window with all the kids huddled around didn't work very well for me. But I do know for a lot of you, that's the only technology you have. So sometimes you can get adapters and you can hook things up to these depending on how old your technology is. But we need to get a projector in every classroom, at least. Well, here's the coveted projector. And unfortunately, a lot of times, the mounting of the projector is more expensive than the projector itself. Also, many people are in very, very old buildings, and they can't get the electrical up there to come up to code. So it gets very frustrating that even if you can afford a projector, the installation might be out of the school budget. I always suggest, if you can, put the projector on the ceiling instead of a cart that can be jostled, mainly because the projector bulbs themselves are outrageously expensive. The more jostling, the more chances that you are going to have a problem with that projector. So anytime you can get them up on the ceiling, but I know that doesn't work in all situations, in all places. In a perfect world, we wouldn't even have to mess with the ceiling. That projector would be mounted right there on top of our interactive whiteboard, all aligned and beautiful. I'm hoping we're going to get there, but for right now, I know many of you are kind of making do, so that's what we're thinking about, is making do. But if we could dream a little, this is where I would take you to dream. Now, let's talk about Google Earth. You have one computer and you have a projector. Google Earth is a perfect example of that's the best way to use Google Earth in that setting, because the worst thing to do with Google Earth is to bring everybody into the computer lab and let everybody go anywhere in the world they want. The network will come down to a screeching halt and it will move so slow, it'll be chugging. So it's actually better as a full group demonstration tool with your projector in your classroom. So let's get a little creative in our thinking. Here's Google Earth, and you've been lucky enough to get it installed. It's free, And let's say that you could put it on the computer and you could have your students do a project. For example, one of my teachers in one of my classes did, if you look on the left, she did the Underground Railroad. She went and put push pins in different places on the Underground Railroad and showed the research of how people moved along the railroad. Somebody else did the Olympics. You can see some did latitude and longitude, Olympic sites. So it's really, really a great way to go ahead and show research. Well, if you could, students could use the computer to put their place marks in and to do all their research and get everything done. They can do their research off the computer, working in groups, do their research off the computer, and then take turns in a station kind of environment to go ahead and create their place marks. Then, when you're ready to do show and tell to the whole group, turn on the projector and everybody can go through what they have created. That way we haven't bogged down the network too much, and we can still have it full screen big so everybody can see it. Another option is students can create these at home and bring them in on a flash drive, even email them or turn them in any way you can be creative. And then the work is done off-site, and then you don't have to worry about the bandwidth or anything else. But viewing these on the big screen is really, really the exciting thing. So that projector, yay, it's fantastic for that. Anything that you can project on the big screen is going to captivate students. This is an example of Classroom 2.0, a network that I belong to. But anytime you can put up a video clip, even just an audio clip that's run through your speakers, anything you can put up to engage the brain really, really helps students understand different things. Look at this beautiful classroom. Wouldn't this be nice if this was yours? The key to putting a projector on the ceiling, though, is having it perfectly, the perfect distance from the screen. There's also so many things to think about in installation. So if you're so lucky you get the projector, think about it. Lights. Can you turn up the lights right above that screen? If you notice there, the glare is not going to be very easy to see some of these slides or presentations. The other thing to be cautious of is the windows, and not putting it right in front of the windows like it is here, but at least here there's some blinds to be able to cover that window. It depends on what direction your room faces, what time of day does the sun come in, if you have windows at all. So there's a lot of things to make decisions that might be out of your control. Unfortunately, I do see it a lot that like the computer is way in the back of the room and the teacher has to teach, and it's really hard to kind of flip things around once that becomes a permanently mounted projector. Rearranging seats might be one way to be thinking about it. For example, I picked this classroom because if that teacher could not have a ceiling-mounted projector, this kind of arrangement would be better than maybe desks scattered everywhere else. So again, you have to be flexible, but what always makes me nervous when I'm in a classroom that doesn't have the ceiling mounted, or the short throw is that thing that's what that's called on top of the interactive whiteboard. I always get worried about the cables and the cords and kids and the fire marshal and all those important things. So we really have to make kind of a plan to go ahead and get projectors in our classroom. Now, it's interesting, years and years ago, when my boys were in middle school, I helped a middle school team write a grant focusing specifically on projectors because they wanted to show movie clips during history. So get creative if you have a foundation, a parent organization, anybody. Any of the big stores that you can maybe write a grant from. What I find that works much better, instead of leading with, I want a projector because I only have an overhead. What works better is saying, I could teach history and make it more interesting for students, which would then increase student achievement. Leading through it with a curriculum way seems to be the best way to attack a donor. Okay. If you do have a station that you can use, think about your computer, not just for your email and for your productivity, but also if Could it be used as a center? Could you go over and send students over there in small groups to work on various projects? Kind of rethink it a little bit. A lot of people say, no, that's my teacher one. But maybe we could eke out a little bit of time for a center. And it doesn't matter what size, shape, computer. It doesn't matter at all. Just if we can get any combination with your projector, that would really help. Now, the other thing to think about in this day and age, the biggest thing in educational technology is BYOT or BYOD. Bring your own technology or bring your own device. If you are locked into a situation and you just want to use technology, maybe you're going to have to use cell phones if your students have cell phones, or maybe 2 or 3 families, maybe get your hands on 2 or 3 iPads. I know I'm dreaming, but that's what we have to do when we have to get desperate like this. And maybe we can turn those into centers. So get creative. There's so much available to us out on the internet if we can just project it. So those are a few ideas, but the whole key is not about the projector. It's not about the interactive whiteboard. It's about engagement. And if that means for right now you're still using dry erase markers and whiteboards, that's what you have. So focus your lessons on engagement. In many districts, unfortunately, the technology comes in and there's not enough people to roll it out. And that happens a lot. You can notice a whole wall of computers there, or projectors, I'm not sure, that need to be rolled out. So I have only been in one school district, in the hundreds I visit, that actually I felt had enough tech support. So there's no magic formula to say for every this many machines we need this kind of person. But we do need to be thinking about getting the support for you in the classroom and getting those projectors into the classroom for you. This is another cost savings that I'm getting more and more excited about, and this is the Mimeo interactive whiteboard. And what this does is it basically suction cups onto an existing whiteboard, and then it turns into an interactive whiteboard. They've been around for a long time, and for a couple of years they weren't great, but they've really, really come a long way. So Mimeo, if you know that some of the other interactive whiteboards are out of your price range, you might want to think about the Mimeo. And again, like the other interactive whiteboards, they have a whole community where you can go in and get lessons and get all different things to help you make the most of your lessons in your classrooms. So I know it can be frustrating when you see all these other things that other people have, but with one computer and that projector, think about engaging students in new ways, using new lesson ideas to help students connect. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks.